One of the reasons why I always talk about and promote money, business, and credit is for the reason, that I'm getting ready to talk about. So I'm not sure if a lot of you all are familiar with Palestine. I think I'm saying that right. Palestine, Ohio. It's a city in Ohio where you had this train derailment that had these hazardous chemicals on it. And now these chemicals are in the water and they're in the air. The town, from my understanding, or the city was evacuated, but now they're saying people can come back. However, these toxic chemicals were in the air and you pretty much couldn't, from my understanding, is you pretty much couldn't breathe it, because they're cancerous. It's hard to breathe. But it's an unfortunate situation. But the whole point of me making this video is, you got to ask yourself, if you had to get up and leave your city or your town or your state and, based off of an emergency, do you have the means to do so? See, this is what a lot of people never, really even think about or talk about is, do you have that emergency fund? Do you have these available lines of credit where if you needed to get up and move somewhere and stay for 30 days, do you have the money to be able to do that? Now, I know from my understanding, they're getting some type of aid, but when it comes to aid and, assistance, it takes a while for this stuff to get allotted to people. And, there are several things here, people that live in this town could get ruined financially. One way is, they won't be able to go to work because if businesses have to shut down if the environment isn't safe to be in. That's number one. The second thing is a state emergency is different from a national emergency. The pandemic was a national emergency, but a state emergency is slightly different. Unfortunately, a lot of these creditors do not care if you have a state emergency. Your bills are still going to be due. Just something to think about. And, even having the means to be able to get up and, go the next state over and be able to maybe either stay at a hotel or pick up on a month to, and pick up on some sort of lease or Airbnb to be able to move your family, during a crisis like that, especially a very dangerous crisis. And, having your credit in order, having available credit, lines of credit, credit cards, these things can help you in situations like this. That's why it's important to maintain good credit standing and, open up new credit cards every now and then, no matter what the limit is, because you never know when these things may, become handy. You never know when you may have that type of emergency where you got to really get up and just roll out. And you got to have the money once you get to your destination to be able to stay somewhere. Now, of course, if you have, family members that you can go stay with, that's always a plus. But, you still got to be able to eat. If I had to get up and go, I have family members in other states, but me personally, I'm not doing it. It's not happening. I'm well prepared. Whereas if I had to get up and go, I could, and I would just land a lease somewhere else for a year or so, or however long I need it, maybe month to month until I can come back to my home. But, these are things that people need to, think about. And, even during the pandemic, it took some of these creditors a while to even come around and say, hey, if you need pandemic relief, we got you. But it took for the federal government or whoever was it took for the federal government to say, hey, give these people some type of leeway because people can't leave their home, people can't go to work, people can't get paid, people can't make money. And so, if it's just a state emergency, these large national creditors, they aren't going to think about, that one city that's in an unfortunate situation. They aren't going to care. Those bills are still going to be due. So with that being said, I know I talk a lot about business and credit and things of that. These are things you should think about because, train derailments, trains aren't the only things that carry hazardous waste. These trucks do too. So this can happen anywhere. So it's just something to think about. If you have bad credit and if you don't have access to large lines of credit, large credit cards, start working on it now because you never know when you'll need it.